Okay, we'll start the class. Okay, today we are going to discuss about some gynec instruments. At the end of your textbook, these instruments, then specimens will be given. You go through these one or two instruments or one specimen per day. Otherwise, you will get confused at the end. Okay, you should know how to describe these instruments. So, what is this instrument? Most commonly, we see this in the gynecoscopy. It is sim speculum. Whenever instrument is given, you should tell the full name of it. Then it is made up of which material, and you have to describe the description of the instrument and how you have identified, and any special features in the description of the instrument you must be able to tell. Then what are the uses and what are the complications or side effects with this, and any, and you will get the questions regarding the uses of that one. So this is sim speculum. I asked one of you to uh, describe this one. What is the full name of this one? What is the full name of sim speculum? It is called as Sims double-bladed posterior vaginal wall speculum. We often hear some students saying it as posterior vaginal retractor. So don't call it as retractor. It is posterior vaginal wall speculum, and it has two blades. So it is called as double-bladed posterior vaginal wall speculum. And it is first invented by Dr. Marion Sims. He is a urologist. He discovered many things, and one among this is sim speculum. So why it is called as the double bladed? It has two blades. These are the blades. These are the two blades, and this is the handle. We hold it at the handle, and we use these blades to inspect to retract the posterior vaginal wall. So how it is made up of steel? How will you sterilize it? By autoclaving. Okay. So describe this one means it has two blades, one handle, and inner surface is concave, and it has a groove. It has a groove or trough on both the blades. These grooves are continuous with each other. So what is the purpose of this groove? Anybody? It is for the drainage of secretions or blood or secretions during the procedures. So this groove, the purpose of this groove is the drainage of the secretions. And also we can collect the secretions or blood for testing. Then why these blades are of different sizes? So smaller size is used for nulliparous women, and a bigger blade, that is blade with wider diameter, is used for multiparous women. So where do you use this sim speculum? We use this in gynecoscopy for gynecological examination for the inspection of the cervix and vagina. Then for any, in the obstetrics, after delivery, we inspect the cervix and vagina with this sim speculum. Then any procedures like dilatation and evacuation, taking of pap smears, we use this one. Then for the cervical tears, if after application of the forceps, if any tears are there, cervical tears we have suspected, for identifying the cervical tears, and also while suturing, this sim speculum is used. So for repair of the cervical tears, how many sim speculums and how many sponge holders are required? They will ask. So 2 sim speculums and 3 sponge holders are required. 2 speculums to retract the anterior and posterior vaginal wall so that the cervix is visualized, and 3 sponge holders to hold the cervix for suturing. Then What are the other areas where you use any vaginal surgeries, like vaginal hysterectomy, then resection of the vaginal uh, septum, and Fothergill's operation, Manchester's operation, and all any vaginal procedures, you use this sim speculum. In family planning, for insertion and removal of the copper T, you use this one. So, what is Sims triad and what is Sims position? Anybody? What is Sims position? I think most of you know. What is Sims position? What is Sims position? Sims position is left lateral position with the lower leg extended and the upper egg is drawn into the taken into the taken upwards into the stomach. That is left lateral position. So this Sims position is used for inspection of the vesico-vaginal fistulas. So what is Sims triad? Anybody? So don't simply say it is left lateral position. Left lateral position with the lower leg extended and upper leg is flexed into the abdomen. That is Sims position. Where do you use this one is for visualization of the vesico-vaginal fistulas and also for any examination of the anterior vaginal wall defects like seals, cystocele, erythrocele. We use this position. So what is Sims triad? What is Sims triad? Sims triad is in repair of vesico-vaginal fistula. Dr. Marion Sims used Sims position of the patient, Sims speculum, and Sims silver wire for repair of the for suturing of the gap. So these all three together, Sims position, Sims speculum, and the silver wire is all three together is called as Sims triad. You please remember, if somebody asks, you must be able to tell. Okay. So what are the disadvantages? Another speculum is there for similar purpose that is called as Cusco speculum. So what are the advantages of Sim speculum over the Cusco speculum? The advantage is with this one you can perform the procedures like dilatation and evacuation, copper T insertion, all these procedures you can perform because more space will be available. Whereas the disadvantage with Sim speculum is the patient, it is not self-retaining and we need an assistant for the to hold the instrument, and the patient has to be brought to the edge of the table. So these two are the main disadvantages. Another one is anterior vaginal wall will be sagging down. So anterior vaginal wall has to be retracted by a Sims anterior vaginal wall retractor. So those are the disadvantages. Advantages is more space is available so that you can perform all the procedures. So uses in obstetrics is it is used for inspection of cervix and vagina after delivery, for dilatation and evacuation in cases of abortion, for inspection and repair of cervical tears, for if a patient comes with antepartum hemorrhage, to exclude the local causes of bleeding. That is any local polyps may be there, any erosion may be there, or any growth, or CA cervix may be the cause of antepartum hemorrhage. So for to exclude the local causes, you have to use this Sim speculum. If you use Cusco speculum, there is chance of injuring the or injuring that more bleed. It will cause more bleeding. So Sim speculum is used. In gynec, it is used while doing dilatation and curettage, inspection of cervix and vagina for local lesions, copper T insertion and removal, gynec surgeries, what we have. So this is Cusco speculum. It is also known as duckbill speculum. So because of this shape, it looks like the duckbill. So it is called as duckbill speculum. It is made up of steel And how do you describe this one? The full name of it is bivalve. It is not double bladed. They say it as valves. So bivalve vaginal wall speculums, and it is self-retaining. Self-retaining bivalve vaginal speculum is cusco-speculum. How do you describe this instrument? It has two blades which have grooves in on inner side and joined together by the hinge, and these can be operated by a screw and a nut here, and it is self-retaining and you don't need an assistant. That is the main advantage of this. And another advantage is patient need not be brought to the edge of the table. If the patient is sick or during the gynec procedures, if the patient is in the middle of the couch also, you can examine the cervix and vagina with this cusco speculum. Disadvantage with this is less space is available, because so this is the only space available to inspect and also to perform the procedures. So less space will be available. So where do you use this cusco speculum? In gynec OP for visualization of the cervix and vagina, and then for the removal of the copper T we use this one. Then for taking the cervical smears, for we take pap smear for cervical cytology. And in case in obstetrics, when patient is complaining of PROM, that is she is complaining of leaking of membranes, for confirmation we can use this one, and copper T removal. So this is carotid artery forceps. So it is made up of steel and it is of medium size. It has two blades with serrations inside. So it is called as hemostatic clamps. The name of it is curved artery forceps or curved hemostatic clamps. Why it is called as hemostatic clamps? These are used to hold the bleeding points during surgery. So it is called as hemostatic clamps. Because of the shape, curved shape, we call it as carotid artery forceps. And it has a catch here, racket catch here. So this is straight artery forceps. The purpose is same as carotid artery forceps, but the shape is, it is straight. And uses are, it is used to catch the bleeding points during surgeries and to catch the suturing material, catgut, thread, all these ends, we catch this one. So this is Alice forceps. Alice forceps is, it is a medium sized instrument made up of steel, and it has two blades, and the ends has 5 to 6 teeth like projections. So these are the 5 to 6 teeth at the end of the blades. So uses is, it is used to hold the tough structures, because it is having the teeth. If you hold a vascular structure, it may injure it. Or if you hold it, if you hold peritoneum, which is delicate, with this Alice forceps, it will get torn. So use this one for holding the tough structures like rectus sheath. Then during the vaginal surgeries, vaginal walls can be held with this one. And during dilatation and evacuation, we should not, for a pregnant uterus, pregnant cervix, that is for dilatation and evacuation for abortions, if you use valsellum for holding the cervix, as it is very vascular and soft, bleeding will be more and it will tear off. So you can use sponge holding forceps or Alice forceps. So uses of this is to hold the tough structures like rectus sheath, vaginal walls, and also during dilatation and evacuation, anterior vaginal wall can be held with this Alice forceps. How do you identify? You identify this by the presence of these teeth-like ends on the blades. So this is valsellum. because you can see it is a long instrument with curved end with two blades ending with teeth-like structures. So because of this, this is also used to hold the tough structures like for dilatation, during dilatation and curettage for gynec cases, anterior lip of the cervix is held with this valcellum. Because of the teeth-like structures, it will have more grip. If you use a sponge holder, it will slip off. So valcellum is best for holding the anterior lip of the cervix for during gynec procedures. Okay, so the, you describe some conditions where posterior lip of the cervix is held. Where do you hold? In which procedures you have to hold the posterior lip of the cervix? CA cervix may be correct, because if there is a growth on the anterior lip of the cervix, you to have that grip, you may hold the posterior lip of the cervix. But if you are doing posterior colpotomy for suspected rupture of the ectopic pregnancy, there will be intraperitoneal bleed will be there. So if for doing colpocentesis, that is needle is passed through the posterior fornix to know any blood is there or not. So for posterior colpocentesis, we hold the posterior lip of the cervix. And also for posterior colpotomy, for drainage of the pus in case of pelvic abscess, we hold the posterior lip of the cervix. Okay. So commonly, where do you see this valcellum? So this valcellum is usually, we use this instrument for picking up the cotton and all. No, they keep this valcellum in a long bottle filled with antiseptic solution. So this is sponge holding forceps. So this is a long instrument with two ends which are rounded. The ends are rounded with transverse serrations. Transverse serrations which are smooth. They are not sharp like in Alice forceps and valcellum. So uses is, we use this one to hold the cotton and gauze for cleaning the abdomen and vagina during the procedures. That is most commonly we use that. Other uses is to hold the pregnant cervix. That is for dilatation and evacuation for abortions. As the cervix is very soft during pregnancy, we hold the pregnant cervix with this sponge holding forceps. Other uses is during repair of the cervical tears. Cervical tears after application of forceps, or during normal delivery also the cervical tears might have occurred. So for inspection and while suturing the cervical tears, we use sponge holding forceps. And then for application, while applying the cervical encerclage, we hold the cervix with the sponge holding forceps and you apply the sutures. So this is BP handle and various shapes of the blades, and you should be able to tell the size and where do you use these blades. So for 11 number, the size of this BP handle is 2. If you are using 22 number size, 3 is the BP handle. So if you are, this is the 11 number blade, which is used for incisional drainage, IND. For incision and drainage, we use 11 number blades. So this will fit into a number 2 size BP handle. So this 11 number blade is used for laparoscopic tubectomy. So in family planning, those who have attended family planning might have seen this. They use 11 number blade for giving incision for laparoscopic tubectomy, double puncture laparoscopic tubectomy. Whereas this is the normal scalpel we use 22 number, which fits into a 3 size BP handle. Okay. So this is a scissor. It is very short. This is a cord cutting scissor. It is used to cut the umbilical cord after delivery. Okay. The purpose of this is, you can see it is curved with concavity inside now. So the cord is very slippery and wide. Cord is a slippery and wide. So this slippery structure will be hold here, and when you completely compress it, that will be cutted. So that is the purpose of this one, cord cutting scissors. So they will keep this instrument in the exams. Don't get confused. Huh? Okay, you remember this one. So this is green Armitage hemostatic clamp. This is a long instrument. It looks just like sponge holding forceps, but here the ends, you can see the ends are wide and smooth. These are wide and smooth. So sometimes this will have a triangular end. So wide and triangular end. This is called as green Armitage hemostatic clamp. Where do you use this one? Name is self-explanatory, hemostatic clamp. So in the previous days, while doing cesarean section, to stop the bleeding from the cut ends of the uterine wound. So uterus is open, no? So the upper border and lower border will be there. So any bleeding points is there, they use this clamp to hold that one, so that bleeding will not be more till it is sutured. So this is green Armitage hemostatic clamp used to hold the uterine bleeding points during cesarean section. But nowadays this is also used to hold the cotton and gauze for cleaning the abdomen and for draping. So this is Babcock's forceps. This Babcock's forceps also looks like Alice forceps. Only difference is you can see the ends. The ends have a triangular gap. This is the triangular gap, and the inner margin is very smooth. So this Babcock's forceps is used, it is atraumatic because the ends are smooth, no? So it is atraumatic. It is used to hold the vascular structures, like during tubectomy by Minilab. During tubectomy, the tube is very vascular structure because the mesosalpinx will have highly vascular. So you hold the tube with this Babcock's forceps and you doubly ligate it and cut it. So other in surgery also you use this Babcock's for holding the appendix. So in family planning section they will they will show this Babcock's forceps to you. So this is Bovum forceps. This looks similar to sponge holding forceps. So any difference? Can you identify any difference? This is also long forceps, looking just like sponge holding forceps. The difference is the end is like a cup shaped. The shape is like a cup with a vertical slit. Okay. Whereas for sponge holding forceps, the end is rounded with transverse serrations. Whereas here it is cup shaped with the transverse slit. And you can see there is no catch here. So we cannot lock it. Here you can see, here there is no catch. This is the catch. This is the catch or racket catch, they say. So when it is there, you can lock the instrument. Whereas for Bovum forceps, there is no catch here. So these 2 points are the identification points to identify this Bovum forceps. So by the end, cup shaped end with a vertical slit and also no catch is there, you can identify this Bovum forceps. Where do you use this Bovum forceps? This is used during dilatation and evacuation for abortions, for evacuating the uterus. So you pass this instrument through the cervix and you hold the products of conception, and you can remove this one. The advantage of this is, as it does not have any catch, even you accidentally, if you hold the uterine wall with this end, the injury will not, there, there will not be much damage. If you use sponge holding forceps, as that can be locked, there is every chance of more injury and more crushing, and also you may perforate it. That's the disadvantages with this. So advantage of this is, as it does not have the catch, there is less chances of crushing the uterine wall, which may accidentally get caught at the ends. So this ovum forceps is used during dilatation and evacuation. So this is how it looks, ovum forceps. This is uterine curette. This is used for curating the uterine wall for during dilatation evacuation and dilatation curettage. So what is the difference between D and E and D and C is, dilatation and evacuation is done in pregnant. We are evacuating the products of conception out of the womb. That is dilatation and evacuation. Dilatation and curettage is during non-pregnant women. You are curating the wall of the uterus. You are taking the scrapings from the uterine wall. That is the difference. And this uterine curette has two ends. One is sharper and one is blunt. So small sharper end is used in case of, sharp end is used for non-pregnant uterus, and blunt and wide end is used for for pregnant uterus. That is dilatation and evacuation. We use the blunt end so that there won't be chances of perforation, or less chances of perforation. So these are Hegar's dilators. These are Hegar's dilators of various sizes. Description is, it is double-ended, smoothly, with smooth ends, with a shallow S-shaped curve. It is S-shaped, but the shape is very shallow. The curve is very shallow, that is. So it has two ends of various sizes. That is 1 by 2, 11 by 12, 7 by 8, like that. So two sizes will be there. It is used for gradually dilating the cervix for dilatation and evacuation. So what are the complications with the Hegar's dilators? If you push it with force, there is chances of perforating the uterus. Then the questions will be, how will you identify the uterine perforation and how will you manage uterine perforation? So another dilator is Matthew Duncan's dilators. These are used for non-pregnant cervix for dilatation. These are used for dilating the cervix in non-pregnant uterus. So at one end it will have a bulb. It is of single size, and this angulation is to allow the anteversion and retroversion of the uterus. It will have a small angulation, no? So it will allow the anteversion and retroversion of the uterus. If the uterus is anteverted, the angle must be anterior. If the uterus is retroverted, the angle must be posterior. So this is Matthew Duncan's dilator. So this is uterine sound with a blunt end, and it is curved. It is curved. This angulation is to allow the anteversion and retroversion of the uterus. And the difference, the Matthew Duncan's dilator of smaller size, you may get confused with the uterine sound, but this will have gradations. Markings will be there. That is numbers 2, 3 inches, 4 inches, 5 inches, like that. Gradations will be there. So why it is called as uterine sound? The sound is basically used to measure the distance, no? So it is used, this instrument is used to measure the length of the uterine canal. So where do you use this uterine sound? Before doing dilatation and curettage, you should measure the length of the uterine canal, so that if you are using any curettage, it should not go beyond that. So this is needle holder. So this is a long instrument made up of steel and it looks like straight artery forceps, but it is heavy when compared to straight artery forceps, and it has two ends which are short when compared to straight artery forceps. And you can see at the inner surface there is a trough. There is a trough. So this trough is to have the grip on the needle. To grip on the needle. This needle holder is used to hold the needle while suturing. Okay. So this is Mayo scissor, long and slender to cut the soft tissues. This is also Mayo scissor, but it is wide and strong. This is used to cut the tough structures like rectus sheath, and also threads and all. We use this for cutting the threads. This is also one scissor. It has a bent at the end. This is episiotomy scissor to give episiotomy. The purpose is, you can see, one end is blunt, one end is sharp. The blunt end is kept inside the vagina while guarding with the fingers, so that there will not be any injury to the fetal head or fetal parts. And this is the sharp end that has to be kept outside the vagina, outside the perineum. So this episiotomy scissor is used to give episiotomy incision. So this is how it looks. So this is Kelly's forceps or long Kelly's forceps. The ends is rounded with transverse serrations. There is no catch here. The purpose is, Kelly's forceps is used to keep the postpartum intrauterine contraceptive device. IUCD, Kapati, we keep immediately after the delivery of the placenta. So the uterus will be large, no? So with this Kelly's forceps, you hold the Kapati and keep the Kapati at the fundus of the uterus and remove this one. This is Kelly's long forceps for keeping the post-placental Kapati, immediate postpartum IUCD insertion. So this is Doyen's retractor to retract the abdominal walls during cesarean section and during hysterectomy. To retract the bladder, we use this one. So this is Drever's retractor. Purpose is same, to retract the abdominal walls and also bladder during hysterectomy and during cesarean section. So this is Landen's retractor. This is used during mini lap, that is for tubectomy. It is very size is small, no? So incision will be small. You use this retractor to retract the open ends while holding the tubes. This is Deely's mucus sucker to clear the secretions in the baby's nasopharynx and mouth. So this is the rubber mucus sucker. We previously we used to use this mucus sucker to clear the oronasal secretions of the newborn baby. But now we are not using, and this is obsolete. But some may show this to identify. Instead of this rubber mucus sucker, we are using Deely's mucus sucker. So this is Foley's catheter. Size is mentioned in French units, F14 and 16F we commonly use. What are the uses of this Foley's catheter? 2 minutes are remaining. You please message in the chat box. So whatever uses of Foley's catheter in obstetrics, gynec, you know, you please message. So what are the uses of this Foley's catheter? Only 1 minute is remaining. So Foley's catheter is for drainage of the bladder. So for drainage of the urine, we use this Foley's catheter after any surgical procedure. Like you might have seen during cesarean section before surgery, they will put this Foley's catheter so that for 24 hours it will be there for drainage of urine as the patient cannot be ambulatory. So post-operatively, we use it for the drainage of the bladder. That is one. Then other uses is, yesterday we have discussed this Foley's catheter is used as mechanical dilator for cervix for induction of labor. Then third one is for easy